Hey, listen, the main thing I want this podcast to be about, okay, is about us being friends, all right, and we fucking love.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the 2A Brotherhood podcast. We got a very special guest with us tonight, the one and only Dakota Wright. He is in his own league when it comes to gunsmithing. He is the owner of the Wright Firearm Solutions LLC. Dude, thank you so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it. Take some time real quick and introduce yourself, and then we'll get this thing going, man.
Yeah, thank you. As you said, my name is Dakota Wright. I'm the owner of Wright Firearm Solutions here out in Cheyenne, Wyoming. We're an 07 FFL. And I'm also the owner and founder of Wright Academy here in Cheyenne, Wyoming as well. The background that I have with guns is extensive. So without boring anyone on details and stuff, I served as a U.S. Marine, got out of the Marine Corps, did private sector stuff, ran security, all that kind of cool stuff. I fell in love with guns kind of like an artist would fall in love with fine paintings. It is the best way I can honestly put it. There's more beyond the canvas. It's the strokes that go into what makes the beautiful picture that we all come to love. For me, gunsmithing wasn't enough. Working on guns and tinkering with things, it wasn't enough, and I wanted to take it further. So I set out on a goal to really obtain the most education one could have in the world of guns. And while I saw a lot of my other friends and just people I grew up with going to school and getting bachelor's degrees and stuff like that, I wanted the same recognition, because, I mean, that's an accomplishment. Someone who has a master's or a bachelor's in, something specialized, not basket weaving or, gender studies or anything like that.
Lesbian dance theory.
Yeah, lesbian dance theory, that's a hard one,
Hey,
I guess.
don't make fun of my degree, all right?
But for me, I was like, okay, guns are a serious thing. It's not like waving a stick around and, whatever. These are mechanical devices. So why is it that a mechanic has to go through formal education to be able to work on Ford or Audi or BMW or any of that stuff, but yet a gunsmith has no formal education whatsoever to become a gunsmith? And that term is so loosely used in the context of today's industry that I really wanted to set out to see where we are and then setting the bar higher. And along the way, I've made a lot of great friends. I've, earned titles that not many people get to earn. I am an international firearm specialist. I can't say enough good things about the industry, but I also do have beef with the industry in certain aspects and in certain regards. But I very much make my work as personal as possible. If I cannot trust what I am putting out, then I will not give it to a customer. It's simple as that. Because I have extremely high expectations, and I believe for far too long this industry has allowed complacency and lack of standards guide us to where we are today. And I think that we could be so much further if we really held our feet to the fire and actually put our nose to the grindstone and actually put forth the effort that truly needs to be put forth.
And have honor in your work, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the biggest part of it is if you can't stand behind your work, then why do it at all? Because for God's sakes, I'm just going to start this off on a fiery note. Look at SIG. Those guys are a-holes for what they're pulling. I mean, I've had multiple SIGs come into my shop, and I have literally sent them back to SIG with video evidence that there were flaws in the design. Pulled the blueprint, micrometered the parts, showed them that there was a deficiency, and these guys have literally just sent the gun back and refused to do anything.
The P320 is the best thing to ever be created.
You shut your mouth. Everyone knows the High Point is the winner.
Taurus every day.
Yeah, we did a deep dive into that P320 when the huge issue was happening and with all the discharges and stuff and also and it's funny too because one of our sponsors, Cox Firearms, Kyle is a really cool guy. He was saying how High Point, like, say what you will, but it has the highest body count of any brand.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You know?
I mean, they're cheap. They're cheap as hell. And they work. They, look, it's, I call it the moped effect. Fun to ride, but you don't want your buddies to catch you riding it. High Point's the very same thing. It's fun to shoot. Their carbines are awesome to shoot, man. But they're uglier than sin, and you don't ever want to be caught with it because you'll never be, forgotten by your friends.
It's like it's 2 o'clock, it's last call, and you're trying to find something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
A slow Tuesday, you know what I mean?
So, funny point on High Point. I used to work at Shoot Straight down in Sarasota, Florida. I was the original crew that started that store. And, I helped hang the taxidermy, I helped do the whole thing, and I was there opening day. The first gun that was ever sold at that location, mind you, the owner spent millions of dollars to open that location. The first gun ever sold was a High Point 9mm. Nothing screams quality like a High Point.
So, when you did the deep dive on the SIGs, what did you find that was wrong?
Dude, I mean, I found sloppy tolerances, and it was everything from the slide down to the trigger housing, down to the triggers themselves, the disconnectors, the sear faces. I mean, just sloppy machining. It looked like some jackwagon, on Friday, at 4 o'clock, buzzer's about to go, and he's just like, screw it, send it. Let's just get it out the door. And it was lazy. And that's my biggest issue with the industry today. It is so lazy. I could go into a huge tangent on that, but it's a lot of laziness. And there's also a lot of people who take ignorant people who are not in the industry, who do not know guns, and they take advantage of all these people of just, oh, I really want this cool gun. Oh, I saw it in a movie. Oh, I saw it in this. Oh, so-and-so on this podcast said it was good. And people don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to because there's so many voices, preaching about, oh, this is good. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is all right. When in reality, most of these people would never understand the difference between, say, a POF and a Palmetto State Armory.
What do you think about Palmetto State?
Dude, I think Palmetto's baller as hell. I have a Palmetto right over there, and I have over 10,000 rounds on the receivers. I've had to swap the barrel twice because, I mean, for God's sakes, full auto rips up barrels. And, I mean, for God's sakes, I'll straight up say it for what it is. I had that AR in the back of my truck, and we rolled down a cliff with it. And after insurance paid me out, I swapped the handguard, swapped the barrel because it bent the barrel. Like it was all half mooned. I went in, I checked the tolerances. I ran a gauge through the upper receiver, checked everything. I mean, there was a couple dings and dents in it, but nothing that compromised its integrity. I'm still running the same receiver set, bro. Same stock, same trigger, same grip, same mags, same everything. So Palmetto's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't talk smack. Now, I'll say it's just like anything else. QC, their quality control sometimes sucks, sometimes is great, but it's the Friday mentality. Yeah, it's tight enough. Throw some red Loctite on it, it'd be all right. You know. And then you bring it to me, and I want to cuss you out because I think you put the red Loctite on it.
Looks good for my house. That's what I always say. Looks good for my house.
There you go. You know, just
What do you think about Stag Arms?
I think Stag Arms is fantastic company. I think they're a great company. I think that they have a great idea behind their message, but I think they're significantly overcharging for what they're producing. I think it is a disservice that they're doing to the community. I mean, I can pick up an AR-15 that fires 5.56 all day long for less than $600. And in reality, Stag Arms is, going to use their name. I mean, they got to pay for marketing. They've got to pay for all these different components, and that factors in on price. But the reality is most people don't care about that stuff. I mean, why is it? And I would love for someone to justify this to me. Why is it that because your gun has a special engraving that anyone with a laser engraver could put on it for $150 at your local gun show, why am I paying an extra $800?
How much
Why?
is a stag arm nowadays? I'm about to look it up. Because
there was a gun company that came out and they did a meat eater line. And, when I'm not going to name who, but it's like when you, in my profession, right? I look at the gun and I'm just like, I recognize that action. Oh, look at that. The action's $400. Oh, the barrel's probably, $500. And it's like, well, that they're not buying 1 or 2 units. They're buying hundreds of units. So that price is going to go down rapidly, especially for big time dealers. So it's like, okay, you're into the action and you're into the barrel for less than $1,000. You're into the stock for probably less than $200, $300 at the most. And then you're going to turn around, you're going to go charge $4,500 for that rifle. Kiss my lily white ass.
Yeah, I just looked it up, and they're around the same price as when I bought mine. Because I got a stag arm. Rob took me to go get it, I don't even know. I was 28, so 11 years ago, and I've never had any issues with that thing.
So, but it's 5.56.
Yep.
And it's probably got a generic handguard on it, right?
Right? Ask Rob.
Okay,
Rob knows everything that's
special
on that thing.
Right, but it's nothing special. You don't have a proof barrel. You don't have a match grade bolt face or anything like that. It's a very generic rifle.
Yeah.
So you spent how much on that rifle?
I think it was $850 back in the day.
Okay, so for $850, and you said that they're right around the same price today.
Yeah, well, they're $100 more. They're $9 something
okay.
now. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just call it a round number at $900. So they're charging $900 today that I can go to Palmetto State Armory. I can pick up a freaking AR in their daily deals for less than $600 sometimes. I can go to the range and still do the exact same things that you can do with that $900 AR.
Yeah,
what sense does that make?
Yeah, I was asking Rob a couple weeks ago if he ever heard of Palmetto Arms, because I went on their website and they had a bunch of ARs that had a bunch of like fancy looking attachments to it, and it was like $700. You know?
It's the amount of people who don't know what things truly cost nowadays is it's kind of sad, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Seeing how much things actually cost behind the scenes and how much people upcharge for them is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's capitalism, man. If someone's buying it for that much,
Yeah, and it's just how it is. You know, and look, there
Yeah.
are companies, I'm going to straight up say it, there are companies that do spend a crap ton of money to make a really nice product, right? You know, you got LMT with their monolithic uppers, okay? Those uppers are not easy to machine. That is a very complex machining process to do a monolithic upper. CNC machines are not cheap, guys. I mean, the one behind me is over $20,000. You know, for
jeez.
the big dogs, you're talking anywhere from
I know exactly how
100,000
much.
to over $1 million.
300. Yeah, an average one's about 300,000, and that's
At
just
least.
you get like a big dog CNC machine. Yeah, you're looking at about
Yeah.
300,000 easily for an average mid-grade one.
Yeah.
Just to get like a used one, you're talking six figures.
At
You know,
least. And
yeah.
that's without tooling. That's without getting it to your shop.
Your dies, your
Yep.
bits, yep,
Everything.
yep.
You know, and
But
that's not even including, you know, the specialty stuff for doing some of those more refined systems, such as a
oh yeah,
wire EDM. A wire EDM, oh my God. I mean, dude, you're talking 40, 50 grand for a halfway decent one.
hmm
You want to talk about additive manufacturing? You guys know what additive manufacturing is?
hmm
Where you produce, you 3D print essentially with metal powder. And a
hmm.
laser goes through and essentially welds it all together. So just to get into additive manufacturing in the quality sense of in volume for what a business would need, you're easily looking at $250,000.
Yeah,
You want
I'm a
to,
welder. I'm a welder by trade, and I also I do heavy equipment. I'm a heavy equipment technician,
there you
so
go.
I know all about what you're talking about. Yeah, I've worked with machine shops. I've done machining. And trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about. It is crazy how much they're charging for this shit. And how much it costs. Going
Well, and
back real quick
that's why
on
we
what you're.
started our company, Metal Bros Machining, is we sell CNC machines now.
Yeah.
And I sell
Yeah.
them way cheaper than anyone else will.
Dude, I would love, my dream is to have like a shop with a bunch of like CNC machines and, just like milling equipment to be able to go and deck a head or block but, oh, hang on. Sorry.
Well, let me tell you, this is essentially how you need to think if, you know, you have that, you know, idea in your mind that, oh, I want to be able to machine anything that I want. Let me just give you a straight line from Tiger King. You will never financially recover.
Dude, when, when I watched Tiger King, it had one of the biggest loops in the world, man. It was crazy.
This is nuts, man.
And I think
Kind of
like
want
the
to go
reason,
back and watch it.
right? And I think the reason why it was so popular because everybody was stuck home. It was during COVID. It was 2020, and people just had nothing else to do, and it just blew up, man. But yeah,
Sorry for that. My kid, woke up and came in my room.
Oh, it's all good. It's all
Yeah,
good.
sorry about that. But no, I wanted to real quick touch back what you're saying about like how companies are just like upcharging stuff.
Yeah.
So like I said, I do heavy equipment repair, and I work for a specific company that fixes specific equipment, but we work on all different types of equipment from all different brands. And there's one company that I consistently see. I'm not going to name drop any company, but they consistently upcharge stuff. Like I said, I do welding too, so I'm the company welder. And for little tiny brackets that I could make for like $20, $700 for a piece of metal that has nothing fancy, no bends, no fancy cuts, no specialty tapping, like nothing. It's just a piece of metal that is basic cut, and it's like $700. I see this shit, and it's ridiculous, and they're upcharging the shit out of it. And people, I can literally go and make it for like 30-40 bucks probably with scrap metal that I have in my backyard, and these people are paying a ton of money to do it. And that's just with that doesn't even count the actual like motors and other parts that they have. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the bill, it skyrockets instantly.
Yeah.
I had a guy bring in a rifle to me, and he's like, yeah, another gunsmith in Laramie did this, and he shows it to me. Bro, this guy snapped off 2 bolts in a guy's scope ring base that cross-threaded, and he used red Loctite.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, I've been a gunsmith for 30 years. I'm like,
well, the thing is, people don't care anymore, like, and again, I see it on my side. I'm not a gunsmith, but I see it on my side to where it's like, you have people from other companies that go in and look at stuff, and instead of actually taking the time to look at it and figure out what's going on, they're just like, oh, that's normal.
Yeah,
oh, that happens. Or try to
it's wear and tear,
or try to blame the customer for that happening. Oh, you must have done this wrong, instead of just saying, oh, our company messed up, or I messed up. They blame other people, and it's piss poor designing, laziness, and no one has that drive to actually want to make stuff work and fix stuff and repair it, or even manufacture it to a standard that we used to be at. And
correct.
They're upcharging and they're not producing what they used to. That's why, like, I love old equipment. I love old machinery, old welders, old trucks, all of it. I'd much rather have a truck from the 90s than a truck from today.
Box bodies for the win.
OBS, man. I love OBS, but the trucks from the day, man, they're shit. They're all shit.
Yeah.
And
they crumble like beer cans, man.
Yeah. Everything quality is a downfall.
I wanted to hit on something that you said though, when you were referring to essentially no one cares about quality and they will push it back on you, like you're the problem.
For the most part, yeah. So, not saying everyone, but for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually a phrase that I like to use for that kind of mentality. I call it the VA effect. So it's never the military's fault. It's never the VA's fault. It's always the veterans' fault.
Always.
Yeah.
And so I like to have that thought process when I'm working with customers, that these people don't know. They don't know better. And I have this, I guess you could call it a screwed up way of thinking, that I believe a gunsmith is the person who should have a doctorate level knowledge in the realm of weapons. And that's not just how to fix guns. That's how to make guns. That's how guns operate. Tactics. How should guns be used effectively? Training methods. Training schools. Are you connected throughout the industry? Because any guy can go in and turn a wrench. Okay, we see it in the mechanic field all the time. How many guys come in and actually turn a wrench, but then how many other guys can turn around and actually tell you, well, the reason why we're going to use a crescent wrench versus a crow's foot is because of this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at it, and Dimitri could tell you this. I love to just like read manuals. Like, I will take a manual and I will go in and I'll start figuring out how it works, because it's what I enjoy. Like, I have that sense of wanting to figure out how something operates, right? And I'm sure it's the same with you about guns. I love figuring stuff out. in the sense of like of appreciating the machine, right? The tool. And
Yeah.
I feel like what's happening in the world today, right, is back when I was growing up, it was kind of like, oh, if you don't do good in school, you're going to be a loser mechanic or a loser
Yep.
construction worker. But now it's kind of becoming cool to be a gunsmith, to be
Hmm.
a mechanic. And then you have these guys that are like modifying their car and they're backyard mechanics, right?
Yep.
And they're cool, but they're not actually, they're in it because they think it's cool and they want to mod their car, but they're not in it for the love of figuring stuff out and wanting to make stuff work and make stuff happen. They're more
Yeah.
doing it the same with gunsmithing. It's cool to go to your friends and be like, I'm a gunsmith because I know how to put a trigger in an AR-15, you know, or
That's not.
I know how to take apart a Glock. I know how to take apart a Glock, so I'm a gunsmith, you
Oh
know.
my God, I get that all the time.
And it's just like but people, it's cool to go and say I'm a gunsmith, you know.
Yeah.
And but you're not actually taking the time to want to know what goes into how does this gun fire, you know. Obviously any layman could know, you know, you pull a trigger, a firing pin strikes and goes bang, projectile goes out, little mini explosions. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. But how does that sequence happen? What goes
Yep.
into when pulling the trigger, making the firing pin strike to cause that bang? And it's people don't want to learn that. They want to learn the basics and call themselves the title, but not actually go into it. And something I always say, you said about having a doctorate. You know, you always hear people say like, "Oh, I practice medicine." Oh, I
Yeah.
practice medicine, you know. Well, for me, I don't practice being a mechanic. I fix stuff, okay? You go to a doctor and they say, we're going to try this medicine and see if it works, okay? I
Yeah.
would get laughed out of a customer if I go in to say, hey, we're going to try this $10,000 part, and if it doesn't work and completely screws your equipment up even more, you know, not my problem. And
That's
Um,
on you.
well, I want to stop you there because in a way, I kind of disagree with you.
okay.
Yes, I completely agree on the manner of what you're saying that, oh, I don't want to say I'm practicing mechanic. It's like, oh, okay, well, I really hope my motor works. I mean, I totally get that. But in the sense that you got to think deeper than that.
Yeah.
So what happens when someone brings you something that there is no manual? There is no clear way of how to fix it. You got to figure out what to do going forward because of the knowledge you already have. That is where you are essentially practicing.
I have a notebook in my van where I have actually mapped out entire electrical and hydraulic diagrams.
Gross.
Completely like I have gone through every wire, and actually even on some connectors that don't have specific like connector numbers, I've actually named them and connect and numbered them myself and wrote out where an entire electrical diagram and hydraulic diagram. I have a notebook full of these specific ones for certain units that I cannot get manuals on.
Oh,
And that's
dude,
how,
like
yeah.
I have the utmost respect for people who deal with electrical. Thankfully, guns don't really have a whole lot of electrical. Every once in a while you get one, but it's pretty simple, from
Yeah.
the, basis of it. My wife was a generator mechanic in the military
Oh,
and then
hell yeah.
got out and worked on movie production sets for like the
Mhm.
Avengers and stuff like that
Sick.
for, doing like the generators. And
Yeah.
she'll open up like generator manuals and like show me, and I'm just like, gross.
Dude, ask Dmitry. He was there. He saw that I found a manual to a piece of equipment, right, that I don't work on. I never
Yeah.
see in a regular day. I don't touch. All right, and I just started flipping through it and going through the diagrams that I had just to see how it worked. You know,
Yeah.
and that's just what I do. You know, I love it.
He
You
was so
know,
happy.
you know, yeah.
And
Like, you know
guns
how
are
people
very
like
much in the
don't.
same context, but we also have to look at a lot of things, and this is why I tell people that being a gunsmith requires you to have cross-industry knowledge.
Mhm.
And that cross-industry knowledge is important because, for instance, back in the day, motor blocks were made of cast iron almost exclusively, right? Well, now we have V8 engines and V6 engines with twin turbos that are made of aluminum, and they're pumping out serious horsepower. Well, the change in materials, the new alloys that are
Metallurgy,
coming out, the new, threads, the new fasteners, all the different things that are coming out. Well, that's also happening in the weapons industry too. All the bullets that you're seeing. I mean, for instance, prime example. So, the 300 PRC. You guys familiar with that round?
I'm not. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, so
I think I heard of it before.
Okay, so the 300 PRC is, I would say it's the big boy daddy version of the modern day 300 Win Mag. Now, obviously, there's going to be ballistics guys who are going to have their own opinions. I'm being a very general status on the matter, so I'm sure people are going to argue with me on the matter. But it is a nasty 30 caliber round. I mean, just nasty. But what a lot of people don't realize, this round has been a thing for like 15 years. They only recently brought it out because they could. And Hornady just dials it in, produces it, and they send it out. Sammy approves it after, doing testing and checks and balances and stuff. And boom, what do you know? Once Sammy approves it, everyone wants to start using it. But 30 or 300 PRC, I'll tell you what, I love that round. I love a 300 PRC, but my God, when you are humping the hills in Wyoming and you have a rifle that's almost 20 pounds, you start feeling it. So it's a great gun, but there's always something that could be better. And I don't want to hear all these guys in the comments going, 6.5 Creedmoor, No one cares. No one cares about your stupid 6.5 Creedmoor. I like big bullets. I don't like little bullets.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, we're always in a state of adaptation, like you were talking about, like cast iron and aluminum, you got billet, like you're always in a state of just improvement, and that's kind of the society we're in now. I mean, everything, it's who knows what we're going to be. I mean, actually, our guest from last week was talking like, who knows what we're going to be in 10, 20 years. We could be shooting people with like plasma lasers and stuff like that,
dude.
who knows? But it's always a state of improvement and adaptation. And I really find that makes the best, everything in terms of whether it's gunsmithing or mechanics or, machinist or whatever, being able to adapt to new ways really will make or break you in this industry, in this field, because I kind of link them all together, even though they're different. Being able to sit there, take things apart, and put them together, and in a better way than you got them, I link them all together, and in this field, like it really will make or break you on that ability to take and see something like having a bigger bullet and a heavier gun, and say, how can I make this lighter for the person trekking this 30 miles into the woods,
I think the other main factor that a lot of people aren't, I don't know if it's because I want to be careful how I say this, because I don't want to get roasted after this goes live and everything. So there's technology right now that we have available to us in the gun industry, but I feel like we're holding back on really pushing this technology to where it could be. And for far too long, we have sold cookie cutter objects and items, but now we're starting to see I literally tell everybody, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. The gun industry is just like the drug industry. Okay. We have the good stuff, but we're going to give what is our bread and butter on a vast majority of the time, and only give out the good stuff when our main crop starts to dwindle. When people start having enough of AR-15s, will ramp up in a new category. And that's where you saw the Jackal. That's where you saw the Scar, the ACR, the Masada, which, I mean, for those of you who don't know, the Masada, which was originally designed by Magpul, was initially then sold over to Remington, who then remastered it and called it the ACR, the Advanced Combat Rifle. And I mean, like, but then there's a lot more to it than that. You know, when you start making relationships in this industry, you start learning who's developing what kind of technology is coming out, who has what technology, and then who has the next evolution of technology. And we saw a lot of that with the takeoff of the Ukrainian, conflict right now. So everyone's looking at drones like, oh, dude, drones are actually a really big problem. A little, Walmart $50 drone can kick your ass.
Yeah.
That's why I've been saying consistently for like the past year, shotguns are the next like big thing in a loadout. Having a guy that can like trap shoot like a bitch can fucking change a game, because
what we honestly need to admit here is the ATF needs to get fucked, and we need to straight up tell them to fuck off and allow us to make the AA-12.
Hey, listen, my SBR paperwork is still in, so can we like love the ATF so they get my shit approved?
No, fuck the ATF. The NFA branch is a completely separate thing. So fuck the ATF.
Listen, when they approve my SBR, I'll say fuck them all. But till then, I need my shit approved. All right, I want.
Free men do not ask permission.
No, so
listen,
Austin,
this podcast is being recorded for quality assurance.
If they really wanted you to have it, you wouldn't have to do paperwork to get it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but they don't want me to have it, so I have to do paperwork to get it, and I'm also not trying to go to jail, so I need that paperwork back.
It's only against the law if you get caught.
Speaking of SBR, okay, sure. I feel like I got told some very janky shit, and I want to know if you can confirm this. So I am, like I said, put in my SBR paperwork, right? I want to build a 300 blackout SBR.
Okay? Gross. Okay.
And I wanted it to be like an 8-inch barrel. Okay.
Get a fucking musket.
I was told that in the state that I live in, the overall gun length has to be 26.5 inches. Well, the ATF determines an SBR at under 26 inches. So how the fuck is that an SBR? And is that just like some bullshit that I got told? Because I believe that's some bullshit I got told.
What state do you live in?
Maryland.
Okay, Maryland's straight fucking stupid. So
yeah,
it is.
I'll have to look into the exact law, but federally, how it works is any barrel that on a firearm where the firearm has a stock intended for placing into the shoulder, okay? Mm-hmm. If the firearm is intended to be shouldered when fired, okay, and the barrel is less than 16 inches, it then would have to qualify in the National Firearms Act of 1934, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that, you have to understand that there are some nuanced things that go into that. So any gun that is over 26.5 inches in overall length then falls within what is called the any other weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you guys remember the Shockwave from Mossberg?
Yeah, the shotgun or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Shotgun, it's got the little nubby. It looks like a sawed-off shotgun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I almost bought
that
one
was
of those,
essentially
yeah.
produced by, was it Mossberg? I think Mossberg's the one that coined the Shockwave. And then there's several other companies that come out with variations. That was essentially their way of giving the finger to the ATF. Because that is not classified as a shotgun. It is classified as a firearm. It is the dumbest shit that you could ever fucking think of. The gun industry is, again, just like the drug industry. If there's a fucking loophole for it, we're going to find it and we're going to exploit that shit. Yeah. FRTs are a prime example of that.
Yeah.
And you've got, what was that gun? Oh God, it was by
It's also the pistol braces too
Fostech.
now.
They made a shotgun and they made a rifle. I think it was called the Renegade, if I'm not mistaken, and it fired some weird, goofy ass Nerf football looking bullets, but it didn't have any rifling. So it was the length of an SBR, and then it was the barrel wasn't rifled. So they made stabilizing bullets for the gun. So it was the wackiest crap ever. I don't even know if it's still available, but we find reasons to circumvent the ATF. And then a lot of people aren't paying attention to the federal level. So the EPA got sued, right? I don't know if you guys heard about that. So
No.
EPA got sued, and then the Supreme Court basically remanded down that the federal government should not be allowed to use Chevron deference. Chevron deference, essentially, in a nutshell, implies that, hey, we as the federal government have too much shit on our plate. We're going to defer federal oversight to this branch of government, i.e. EPA, ATF, FDA, whatever. Okay, well, ATF, 9 times out of 10, when they try to sue a manufacturer or an individual, they immediately throw down, we have Chevron deference. We can make the rules however we want. Well, now they're not allowed to do that. And they're getting their asses kicked in court. So I think that a lot of people need to realize that the gun industry wants to do the cool shit. But no one's going to do the cool shit until they start getting told to do the cool shit by the customers. But as long as customers are buying their traditional Remington 870s or your bolt guns from, Mossberg or, all this basic guns, as long as the basics are selling, no one's going to push the envelope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just, like I said, going back, I was told that for my SBR it had to be 10.5 inches minimum. Like I couldn't go under 10.5 inches for my SBR.
No,
and I was
it's
like,
federally
that sounds
regulated.
like- yeah, I was
I'm
like,
go-
that's
I'm
what
gonna
I
look it
thought,
up.
and it sounded like bullshit to me. And I actually ended up looking more into it and haven't found anything to kind of counteract or to back up what I was told.
Who told
I'm
you
I
that?
looking at the Maryland State Police Licensing Division Advisory, issued 2014, May 2nd. Okay? Definitions. Maryland law, criminal law article CR subsection 4-201F defines short-barreled rifle as a rifle that has one or more barrels that one or both measuring less than 16 inches long, okay, so just like the federal law,
Yeah.
or has an overall length less than 26 inches and was
Like the federal law.
manufactured from a rifle either by an alteration or modification.
Like
Okay.
the federal law, yeah. So, real quick, wanted to go back on brands that you think were good. So I got a 17 design and manufacturing lower, and I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about them. Have you
Who
heard
was it
anything?
again?
17 design and manufacturing.
What just happened?
Why did I
They
get
got
muted?
I don't know.
But yeah, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about 17 design and manufacturing. Do you have
17
any experience
Design.
with them?
No, I've
Do you have
never
any
even heard of them.
Really? Apparently they're not in business anymore, but I've seen people either love the shit out of them or absolutely fucking hate them and say they're the worst.
Oh, bro. All right, so check it out. These, I'm looking at them right now. Is it a billet or is it forged?
Let's
It's really easy. Does it have round corners or does it have sharp corners?
It has round.
Okay, so that's forged. Okay, so
I looked because I didn't. I went and grabbed it because I haven't actually looked at it that much. So when you asked me, I didn't really know. And they had, when I went to buy it, they had 3 in stock, and I was like, whichever one I can get.
how much did you pay for it?
95.
You got fucked.
Really?
You got fucked. Straight fucked.
Yeah.
Now,
Is it that
here's
shit?
why. Yeah. Well, it's not that it's shit. I mean,
Well, let me. So obviously, we live in a capitalist society, and they had like 20 fucking people that day come in and buy lowers. So I think they raised the prices on the fact that they were such short stock in lowers, and they had like, I think 3 left, and one guy bought one while I was looking at something else. So yeah, so I think they were just like doing the whole capitalism thing, you know. So
dude, Sportsman's is so guilty of that. I've caught Sportsman's doing that crap.
yeah, well, everywhere is like out the SBR, so where you don't have to pay the tax stamp anymore. Everyone's buying lowers to build SBRs.
Well, fuck, come over to Wright Firearm Solutions. I'll sell them to you. Freaking Happy Gilmore status.
Yeah, heck yeah, man.
So,
But,
check it out. Here, I'll pull it up right now. Palmetto.
But what do you think of the 17 design and manufacturing? Like, from what you saw, did you or why you say I got fucked?
I'm pulling it up now.
He's gonna show you.
All right. So, check this out.
Mm-hmm.
For a raw 80% forged lower receiver, okay, it's your stock basic lower receiver. Let me grab one right here.
Well,
Basic lower receiver, okay?
Yeah.
Basic, super basic, okay? They are $35.99.
Damn.
Well, you said 80%, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, this isn't an 80%.
I know it's not an 80%.
Okay.
So let me ask you, from someone who actually works on motors and, you know, has worked in machining and stuff like that, is it worth another almost $60 for someone to hog out an 1.5 inch worth of metal, drill a couple holes, and then paint it?
I can't have an 80% in Maryland.
Yeah, they're illegal.
Yeah. So I have to go the legal route.
Well, then I come back to the original point that I made earlier.
Yeah.
Palmetto State Armory. You can literally get lowers on their thing. Like I got a deal a while back where I only paid $30 a lower.
Yeah.
And it's like, just have a stockpile of those little bastards and you never have to worry.
I got
I mean, it's so for the same lower, and this is what I was explaining to another gentleman. So I can take a mil-spec lower and a mil-spec upper, standard basic AR-15 lower and upper receiver. Okay, just the receiver set. Now, no markings whatsoever. I could sell for $150 if it's anodized. If it's all done, anodized, but there's no company markings, I could sell for $150. No problem. That's easy money all day long. Okay? The moment I put FN, well, it then becomes $250. The moment I put Colt, it turns into $500. The moment you put Daniel Defense, it turns into $800.
Yeah.
And it's the same shit. It's the same shit. You know, and they're going to sit here and be like, oh, well, ours are tighter tolerances. Bullshit. Bullshit.
It's
Because
like that.
I have a Daniel Defense in here right now that's a DDM4, and it has worse tolerances than a Smith & Wesson M&P pistol.
Oh, damn.
And the dude dropped like 3 times the amount of money on that Daniel Defense than he did on that Smith & Wesson.
So I'm gonna start entertaining that Palmetto Arms, dude.
Dude, Palmetto State Armory is great. Like, I don't know why so many people talk crap about them. I'll take one of their basic rifles. I'll go out to the range, and again, I don't know what you guys know about the military, but in the Marine Corps, we take M16s and M4s, and we shoot with 62 grain ammunition out to 500 yards. All Marines are riflemen, so we all shoot 500 yards, and most of them are only using ACOGs. Okay? Now, I'll go out to the range, I'll have an LPVO on a basic Palmetto State Armory rifle, and I can go out to 500 yards. Factory ammunition, nothing crazy, bone stock, totally fine. And then you got the guys that are sitting at the range with probably over $2,400 into a custom AR build, and they can't shoot that far. Now, is that the gun's fault, or is it the shooter's fault?
Shooter,
right?
I can't even see that far. I don't know how
Unless
the hell
it's me,
they're
I
shooting
blame
that
the
far.
gun.
What's up?
I said, unless it's me, I blame the gun.
Yeah, right. You must be a, Glock owner.
Watch your mouth. You're talking about my Glock.
So that comment that just came in, then how can people save money, build their own? So that's one of the most widely debated topics in the gun industry today. I actually just made a TikTok video responding to a gentleman on that very same topic.
Yep.
In the notion of if you build a built out gun, okay, versus a very basic rifle, what would be the trade-off? Okay, so a basic rifle is, hey, I'd like to have an AR-15. I might do mods to it, later on down the line, but all in all, this one basic gun has everything I want. Maybe I buy a red dot for it. Maybe I buy an LPVO, and I'm not going to do anything serious with it. I go out, I plank with it. It's there. Perfectly fine to buy a stock gun. But then if you want to go buy parts to build a very specific purpose-driven rifle, well, then that is where you're going to want to buy specific parts. Because the problem is you get guys that'll go buy these very basic rifles and then they want to upgrade it. And the way that I equate this to people is that would be the equivalent of buying a Honda Civic, taking the motor out of it, taking the entire drivetrain out of it, taking everything out of it down to the bare bones, and then replacing it with retrofitted, stuff. But at the bare bones, it's still a Honda Civic. You know what I mean? Now, am I going to sit here and say that I'm going to hold one MOA with a gas gun? No way. No way. I've never, ever, ever seen it done consistently on a factory-produced gun. So, and what I mean by that is AR-10s, right? So you have the M110 Super SAS, which is 308, or in the equivalent to the NATO specification, it's 7.62 by 51. Now, with that rifle, it is deadly accurate. It is a fantastic platform. But the problem is people are expecting bolt gun quality accuracy out of a gas gun. It's never going to happen. It will never happen. With bolt guns, you have tight tolerances. With tight tolerances, you have consistent and accurate grouping. With wider tolerances, i.e. for gas guns, because they need to have a little bit more flexibility for variables and so on and so forth, you are not getting consistent lockup. You are not getting consistent, pressures. You're going to have variations. This is a prime example even in bolt guns. You look at even the best match grade ammunition made today. It's going to vary. Bullets are going to vary. Yep. Serious reloaders will weigh all their bullets, and bullets will weigh in a spectrum. Some are heavier, some are lighter, some are dead on. And then you have to take that into consideration when you're doing load development for hand-loaded ammunition. And that plays a factor downrange. And I think that not enough people are willing to acknowledge or accept the science that goes into the reality of what guns are today. If you want a gun that's going to go 2 miles, there are variables and factors that you must consider. But if you're just going to look at a gun like it's a freaking hammer, well, then any gun's going to freaking do just fine for you nowadays.
Very well
Here's
spoken.
another one. Is there a difference in accuracy with a bolt gun versus a semi-auto?
I mean, yes. I mean, we essentially just covered that. But with regard to the question of if there's a difference, right? So a bolt gun, factory, or I should say industry standard, is anywhere between half to 1 MOA at 100 yards. Okay, now MOA is minute of angle. What that essentially equates to in a unit of measurement is 1 inch at 100 yards is the maximum that a bolt gun should be going. Okay, if it's any more than that, then you got a problem. Okay, and that's with quality factory ammunition. Typically, that's match loads from Hornady or Federal. Or, I mean, Black Hills does stuff, you know, there's several companies out there, but we'll use the big names for simplicity purposes. So you'll have Federal come in and, you know, you'll run like a 185 308 through a Remington 700. With quality factory ammunition, the maximum I would want to see a bullet spread at 100 yards is 1 inch. On average, especially today with the better quality materials, better machining practices and all that stuff, typically we want to see closer to a 1/2 inch MOA. But the fact of the reality still remains. Most shooters cannot maintain that level of accuracy. Most shooters will never be able to hold the accuracy of what even a factory gun is capable of. That is why if you're going to pay for the high-end quality stuff, I had a gentleman, you know, shoot me a picture the other day. He owns an MRAD, and that MRAD is capable of just stacking rounds. Like it's a surgical piece of equipment. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, I can't get it any tighter than a dinner plate. Dude, that's not the gun. That's you.
Well,
and
real
so
quick-
I referred him over to a buddy of mine who has a precision rifle company. That's all he does. He does hand loads. He teaches people how to shoot bolt guns and stuff. And I referred him over there. And from what I understand, they have a range day coming up and they're going to go work on it. But, you know, when it comes to bolt guns versus gas guns are intended for rapid target engagement. Bolt guns are not. Bolt guns are surgical scalpels intended for very, very, very precise shooting. Gas guns that are designed to be precision guns, such as DMRs or SPRs, or special purpose rifles, as they're also known, those play a specific role. So snipers during the invasion and the occupancy during Iraq, you know, inside cities and stuff, well, we didn't want a bolt gun in those environments. We needed a semi-auto. We already knew that the M16, the M4, or the AR platform, if you will, was a reliable system, but we needed something bigger to take down targets at a little bit greater of a distance, something that had the ability punch through glass better, punch through windows, punch through, you know, soft armor, you know, if the opponent was wearing it. That is where the M110 Super SAS came into play. Firing the 308 or the 7.62x51 cartridge, it was capable of dropping mother effers at 800 yards without a problem. But it was rapid target engagement with big, heavy rounds without having to jeopardize on mission capability. Because even snipers who would carry bolt guns, then they had to carry an M4. You know, the whole notion of sniper teams going out with just 2-man, type deal, that's not really a thing. Most sniper teams, especially the guys that I know from the industry who were snipers during that time period, they were going out in like full squads. You had a dude with a saw planted on the back of the stairs. You had dudes with M4s. You had dudes, with, way greater weapon capability than just the guy with a bolt gun. Mm-hmm. So, and the guy with the bolt gun, typically that bolt gun goes in his pack, and then he's packing an M4 so he can get into active engagements. Because I don't want a dude shooting at me with an AK, and then I'm like, hang on, guys, I got to reload. Hang on.
It'll be like having a musket bag in a day.
Yeah. Now, did it happen? Were there sniper teams, 2-man with bolt guns? Yes, it did happen, even in modern times. I'm not going to ever say that it didn't. But I'm saying more oftentimes than not, the reality is they would go into a environment with more than just 2 guys, and they would always, always, always have weapon capabilities to be effective in a gunfight.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to kind of expand on the question that was just asked about
Sure.
accuracy. Yeah. So we talked earlier, okay, before the stream went off, about advancements in technology and new technology coming out. Do you think, I feel, and I could be wrong on this, I feel that there's more development into gas guns, like
Yes.
the AR-10 platform. Do you feel like we're going to get to a point to where the gas guns will match the accuracy of the bolt guns?
So I have to be very careful about how I elaborate on this topic, because there are several custom R&D designs that I'm involved with right now that will tread on this topic, and I have to be very, very careful about how I answer. What I can say is there is technology and development that will revolutionize the way that we have understood weapon operating systems for the past 100 years. It will completely make every gas gun as we know it today obsolete in the eyes of efficiency and robustness and capability. And the shit that we are working on, guys, will seriously just blow your mind. Like, again, the technology is there, but no one's really willing to push the envelope because there's no need. Why would I go spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in R&D and hiring experts and engineers and, people who specialize in very, very technical things within the eyes of technology, when we can just sell the $600 AR and make pretty decent money at it?
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now,
what you said about
there
the
is
drug
shit
trade
coming out that will make Terminator look like a little weak bitch.
Well, what's one way that we could push the envelope?
Demand more. Demand more. When you see industry events such as SHOT Show and stuff like that, oh my God. If you guys ever go to SHOT Show, the relationships that you can build at SHOT Show are completely inconceivable to anyone who has not been. GunCon, there's TriggerCon, all that kind of stuff. There's all sorts of industry events and stuff that happen throughout the year. Yeah. People look at gun shows and they're, again, I think this kind of goes back to the fall of this industry. I think that we have a very big problem with ethical responsibility and also just public image of our industry to the masses.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they look at the gun industry, they see your average gun show. They don't see SHOT Show. They see gun shows with people walking around and, tasers going off every 3 mother effing seconds. Yeah, I'm a badass. Zap. It's like, I hate that crap. I don't go to gun shows anymore because I'm so sick and tired of seeing it. It's you see the same old junk every single time. And then you'll walk around like I used to love doing this, but it pissed off too many people, and like heads of gun shows asked me to stop coming. But I'll walk around and I'll see these guys selling $400 guns for like $800. And I'm just like, I'm the biggest ethics dude there is in the realm of guns. I mean, I've yet to find anyone who will honestly contend with me in the world of ethics. But I'll walk over and I'll be like, why are you charging $800 for that gun? He's like, oh, well, we're selling a gun case with it. And I'm like, pull up RSR, our wholesale distributor. I'm like, really? Well, I get that gun for $294, and that fucking case is $15. So where the fuck are you coming up with $800?
I thought going to a gun show, you got better prices.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Last gun show I went to, I saw 2 different companies selling roofing and windows at a gun show.
You saw what?
I saw 2 different companies at a gun show that were advertising for new roofs and new windows.
Yeah, see, like that kind of crap pisses me off. Like
People selling beef jerky.
yeah, okay, beef jerky's warranted. That shit's warranted. Like they give out the best sandwich.
Shut up, Rob.
He lets the beef jerky slide. The other shit, no.
Well, okay, so prime example. My wife and I were walking around at a gun show out in Florida before we moved to Wyoming. And so I'm sitting there talking to this vendor, and we were actually having a very meaningful conversation. And this mother effer walks up behind me, and he's got 2 women with him. And he, I forget how he started the conversation, but more or less, he was a local judge for family court. And he was walking around for like re-election or something. And he sits there and tries to like swindle me and my wife about how he's such a good judge. And I was an asshole to him. I'm like, shut the fuck up. No one gives a fuck. You guys are all crooked anyway. Get the fuck out of my face and go fucking pound sand. And he's like, I'm just like, this ain't a courtroom, fuckface. Leave.
I would have been like, so I got your vote.
and he's just like, well, I'm just trying to meet with my constituents. I was like, oh, you mean all the guys that you're going to try to take their guns away because their wives, lie about being abused?
Yeah.
And I understand that that's going to be a hot topic with everyone. So I get people are going to lose their minds when they hear me say that. But the reality is it happens. Okay. I'm not saying that women aren't abused by men. I'm also saying that men aren't abused by women. I'm not saying that guns aren't involved. I am saying, though, that proportionally there are a large volume of guys who will go into family court and get steamrolled purely because they own firearms.
Yep.
There is a bias.
I don't know, man. I think Amber Heard was the true victim.
You're gonna be.
She was snorting coke she was snorting coke in the courtroom, dude.
Dude,
she definitely didn't shit on his pillow.
So you want your wife to shit on your pillow? That would just.
I actually DM'd Amber Heard asking if she could shit on my pillow on Instagram.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, she never responded to me. She did see it, but never responded to me.
Well, that's not nice.
Yeah.
So here's another question that came in the chat. We appreciate you, Guardian. You've been asking some good questions. Going further with Little Wiener with his question, are more manufacturers going
4 inches hard or soft?
So, are more manufacturers going to go to piston rather than direct impingement? I think it's a toss-up, to be quite honest with you, because with piston, you typically have a heavier overall system. There are significant benefits to running a piston system. My SBR is a piston system. I absolutely love piston. But again, there's an added cost to it. So if I'm going to do a piston system on an AR, it automatically is going to jump the price by over $150. You know, if you want the really nice bolt carriers, if you want the really nice bolt face, if you want the really nice gas blocks and stuff like that, go direct impingement. Direct impingement works great. Don't get me wrong. It's very robust, especially modern ones. You know, there's new bleed off designs and all that stuff. They're great. But I think that there's always going to be a trade-off. It's kind of like a V6 twin turbo versus a V8. You're going to get benefits to both, but there's drawbacks to both.
Okay. So we actually have one of our OG guests on here, Funny Hat Man, Eric.
Dude, Eric's awesome.
Yeah, man, he is.
I love Eric, dude. Dude, Eric's a G, man. I absolutely love watching his stuff on TikTok.
Yeah, dude, he's funny. He was wondering, do you shoot competition at all?
So I would love to shoot competition, but I have medical issues that prevent me from going out and doing that. And I also have 3 kids and I run 3 companies. I just don't have the time. I would love to do it. I actually am sponsoring the Washington State IPSC, I believe is what it is. It's the IPSC Nationals for the state of Washington this May. So I very much encourage competition shooters. I think Eric is probably one of the most outspoken people in the competition network. That he makes great points. You know, if you're not shooting competition in, you know, that scope, you don't really get much to say. That's why I don't really talk so much on the realm of just shooting. I'm the guy that makes the guns. I know how to shoot. I do have a background in shooting. I do hold distinguished expert in all 3 disciplines of rifle, pistol, and shotgun. But I'm not going to pretend like I'm a grandmaster. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a master. I will forever hold myself in a humble stance where, yeah, if Eric and I went to the range, dude, Eric would probably mop the floor with me. 100%. I'm never going to sit here and pretend like Eric isn't a top tier shooter. And there are guys better than him, and there's guys worse than me. It's a spectrum.
Probably all of us. He would mop the floor with all of us.
Yeah.
Dude, Eric's a freaking G, dude. I absolutely love that guy. He is hilarious.
Yeah.
But he's honest. And I like that.
Yeah, he's a great dude, honestly. Very, very honest, very, upfront.
And he's got the coolest fucking hat, dude.
Yeah. Honestly. I think he was our him and Blake. They were our first shooters to ever come on the podcast. Like, that was like 2 years ago. Or was it last year? I think it was last year.
Yeah. Follow-up question from Guardian7770. Does the BCG change with a piston?
So the bolt carrier group itself, or the bolt carrier, is actually the main component that will change within the swap from direct impingement over to gas piston. There's a different top piece that's going to go into the component functioning. So gas piston is pushing a rod, whereas direct impingement runs a tube all the way from your gas block back to your BCG, where gases are going to be propelling. And that's where you're going to have a key foundational difference between the 2 operating systems.
Heck yeah. So you said that you for the stream got cut out last time. You said you look at guns in the way an art enthusiast looks at art. What really kind of like set you off to start your love for guns? For me, like with mechanics, like
he's
I
a
kinda grew
Marine.
up. I kind of grew up like,
Fucking
working on
crayons come
cars.
first.
I kind of grew up working on cars and stuff like that, and that kind of, sparked my love for welding and for fixing things. But for you, like, what really started that love for, looking at it like an art and really wanting to dive into it and understand it better?
So for me, I grew up out in Washington State, and my dad, would go hunting pretty much every year. And my dad would, obviously go target practice, shooting, all that stuff. And my dad didn't own anything like exotic or anything like that. He just owned hunting rifles, 30-30, a couple wheel guns, 1911, basic stuff. Nothing like what I have now. And he taught me from a very young age to respect guns. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I used to carry around a broomstick with a red tape on the end of it to show my dad I knew how to control the muzzle of a gun. And that was old school gun training, back in the good old days. And I remember starting out on a BB gun, and it was just, there was something beautiful, a peace, if you will, that came over me when I was laying in the grass. I was a young kid, and, having my little pump action, Daisy Red Ryder BB gun, thinking I was freaking Carlos Hathcock, aiming at the little pop can and stuff. And it was like, I remember vividly learning how to shoot, and one of the most popular things that I think I will ever remember in my entire life was, it was a book I read when I was a kid. Took place back during the time of like wagon trains and stuff like that, during the Oregon Trail. Mm-hmm. There was this young kid. He had just got a new rifle that was black powder for his birthday from his dad. And he had become separated from his wagon train and came across a man with one arm. And this man with one arm said, "I bet you I can outshoot you with my one arm." And the boy was like, "No way, absolutely not." And when that boy and the one-armed man shot against one another, I think it was like a tree or something, just who could get off the most shots in 1 minute. The one-armed man won. And what he told that boy was, it's not about who has the nicest gun. It's not about who has the physical ability. It's who understands what the component can do and how they can maximize its effectiveness. And I think about that often, because when I shoot, when I go to the range, when I work on guns, I try to think in that context of what's efficient, but also what was its original intention? Do I want to keep it the same, or how can I make it better? And that's the difference where, starting with a BB gun, man, you fire probably, I mean, you guys remember those boxes that we used to get as kids with the rattlesnake on it, with the copper BBs?
Yeah, the copper heads, yeah.
Yeah. My God, if you found a box of those nowadays. But I would go through boxes of those every summer. And I mean, I would tear up pop cans. And, it was just, there was, again, a piece to it. It was a BB gun and no one takes it seriously, but I would lay in the grass for minutes, almost half an hour sometimes, just reading the wind, knowing what that BB is going to do at a given distance, because I had fired so many. Knowing how to do Kentucky windage before I even learned what Kentucky windage was. And as things got more advanced, as my dad introduced me to new firearms, 9mm, 22s, all that stuff, the same philosophy was still implied. The amount of rounds that I fired down range not only taught me the different mechanics and holding positions and positions of how to hold the gun for specific, capabilities, but it also taught me, like, hey, if something happens, I don't need my sights. I know exactly where that round's going to go because of how I'm holding this gun. And, prime example, I still have the first rifle my dad ever bought me in my safe. Never modified. It is 100% original, and I will never modify it. I taught my daughter how to shoot with that. The level of passion that I have and appreciation for all guns, no matter how exotic, no matter how freaking weird, because there are some weird guns out there, and no matter how old and rusted or what kind of history it has, I find guns beautiful, because if you truly knew the stories that came from some of these guns, it would blow your mind. I've had guns come in that were used during the war that are stamped with swastikas. Dude. I have a gun right here that literally was imported during the war that is stamped by the Crown of England. It still has the Cosmoline on it from its importation. It's never been fired. And it's chambered in 303 British. Like, I went through and I tracked all of its markings all the way back. Tracked its serial number, contacted museums, tracked it all the way back for my customer. He didn't even ask for it. But when he came to pick up his gun, and I showed him, I'm like, here are the markings, this is what they mean. He looked at me and was like, whoa. I didn't even know that. Like, my gun's actually a part of history. I'm like, yeah! Mm-hmm. Dude, your gun has seen the world. Your gun has done things that we couldn't even possibly imagine. And people, when they learn those things, they're like, oh, well, I mean, I kind of just thought this was just a old gun to, that people kind of like. I didn't realize it had this kind of value. And then once they start realizing the historical or, just the sentimental value in its story, people start to appreciate them a whole lot more. And I think that when a gun has a story, we as shooters can all appreciate guns that have been through the trials of the fire, I guess is the way I could best put it. Because, I mean, everyone's got their own problems, right? In today's day and age, everyone's got problems.
Yeah.
So we can all respect, oh, dude, my motor blew. Any one of us could just be like, oh, dude, that sucks. You know what I mean? But when someone's like, dude, I found out my gun was used during World War II. Like, I actually got the marks on it, and and they can actually show a lot of guys who own guns, even if they're not interested in guns like that. They're just like, wow, dude, that gun was used during Iwo Jima. Wow, that gun was used during Belleau Wood. Wow. And I think that there's a deeper appreciation for it.
I wish my dad still had his gun that he had that was used in World War II. It had some markings on it.
M1?
Yeah, the M1. He had an M1 from World War II. And it had some markings on it. We never figured out what it was. I wish I knew.
Did he sell it?
No, so it was originally my uncle's, right? And then my uncle sold it to another uncle on my mom's side, and then that uncle had some problems, so he ended up selling it to my dad, and my dad had it for the longest time, and the gun was actually very sentimental to the first uncle that owned it, right? It was his best friend growing up, his best friend's dad's gun or something like that his dad that he used in the war or something, and so my dad ended up, in an act of kindness, gave it back to my uncle. Didn't sell it to him, didn't do anything, just knew the sentimental value behind it. And my uncle retired, and as like a retirement present, gave him back the gun, even though it was like my dad's like safe queen. Like that thing never left the gun safe. He would never. You could pay that man $10,000, he wouldn't fire it. You know, you could take it to the best gunsmith in the world, and that a guy could say, "This thing is clear to shoot. Nothing will happen. Here's $20,000 for you to put a round down it," and he would not do it. That he treated that thing like a baby. And even though he loved it so much, he gave it back to my uncle so that way he could have it. And I wish he still had it, and we could see the markings. And I could show you, and maybe you might be able to tell us a little more about it. But yeah,
Didn't
Yeah,
we
and,
that the soldier's
Go for it.
serial number was on it, like the DoD ID number, pretty essentially was what
yeah,
it
it
was
had like
like.
a serial number.
Oh,
Yeah,
is
like a serial number from like the soldier or something on the back of
Yeah.
the stock. Yeah.
We do got some
Yeah,
One
fun
day
right.
I'm
in the
gonna
chat.
have one of those.
That kind of brings me to my point. Like, I had a old Marine that came to me, and he has an M1 Grand, and he's like, my hands, I'm not strong enough anymore. And the dude nearly cried because he had to admit that he wasn't strong enough to push the rounds down into the receiver anymore. For me, not only as a Marine, but as just a man who loves to shoot, it broke my heart. It absolutely shattered my heart to see this poor old guy who just loves to shoot this gun not being able to go shoot because it hurt him too much. So me and a couple of my friends, we 3D printed, like we R&D'd the whole thing, and then we 3D printed a custom full hand mod that he can push those rounds down into the receiver. So he can use the whole force of his hand to push it down. He now shoots that gun regularly.
That's awesome.
So
And we
cool,
didn't charge
man.
him a penny for it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Real quick, we had another question from Funny Hat Man Eric. Knowing what you know now, how would you approach training if you had to start over with the current knowledge you have as a 3-gun DE?
Knowing what I know now, I think what I would have done differently is I would have done one of two things, okay? I would have picked a platform, okay, whether rifle, pistol, shotgun, whatever, and then I would have spent an exorbitant amount of rounds just learning to shoot each platform individually. Okay. Then I would have gone and compete, knowing what I know now. Because I think, I want to say that Eric actually said this in one of his podcasts. So if he didn't, I apologize to Eric if you're watching this, buddy. But it was him or it was someone else. But competition is the fastest way to humble yourself in your capability of being able to shoot.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably the truest statement anyone could ever make is, yeah, you may be good. There's always someone better. I mean, look at the list of grandmasters. They're splitting times down to a 1/10 of a second. I mean, these guys are just exceptional shooters. And now, does that mean that the guys underneath them aren't lethal? Does that mean that the guys beneath them aren't good? No, it's actually quite the opposite. They're actually very good. I mean, Bravo and above, I would say, shoot better than most of our military and law enforcement. So, that's got to say something, right?
Yeah, don't get Eric started on the. See, there he goes. Facts. Don't get him started on the police and military.
Dude, I love Eric. He is probably the best dude I think who could honestly be the most honest voice for the gun industry. I think Eric doesn't get nearly enough credit for what he says in the realm of weapons. I think that he is an inspirational voice when it comes to the honest, brutal reality of what shooters need to acknowledge today. I loved his comment in one of your guys' clips where he's just like, you know, oh, they say I'm fat as fuck. And he's like, I could give a fuck less. I could kick your ass in a gunfight. It's like, fucking facts, bro. Facts.
One of the videos he made, it was this really swole guy, and he was like, "Ugh," and then it was just like,
yeah, bop, 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 bop.
yeah, bop, 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 bop. And he was like, and that was a bad string of shots, and everything was like this close together.
You know, and that's that's the one thing I think Eric and I would probably argue on is I am a very big believer that yes, it's fantastic that you can stack rounds one on top of another in a tight circle. I'm never going to say that's a bad thing because that shows consistency and repeatability. 100%. I'll never disagree with him on that. While shot placement is a factor, shot dispersion is also a factor. And the reason why I say that is because temporary and permanent wound cavities, once they are already disrupted by the first and second round into the chest cavity, it is virtually meaningless to shoot in the same spot. This is why I would very much implore people that if you're going to shoot 2 or 3 to the chest, pump a couple into the pelvis too. You can't run if your pelvis is shattered. You know, and I understand that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, you know, you just keep it all in the chest. It's like, well, there are a lot of law enforcement officers who have had that mentality and still fucking died. Yeah. But guess what? You're not fucking running at me with a knife if I shoot you in the fucking pelvis with a 12 gauge.
Eric said, hits are hits, homie. No one wants to get hit.
That is a fact. My God, someone give Eric a fucking beer or something, man. Like, my God. The dude is literally the freaking G of the gun world. I really wish that dude just had a bigger platform because I would love to see him bully people like SDI. Dude, I would love to see him bully them.
I have tried to get so many people on this podcast to debate him. And it's always people like talking shit on his page, and no one ever wants to do it. They talk shit in the comments. Mm-hmm. They never want to do it on here.
Well, I think honestly it's because I will say Eric is a fucking force to be reckoned with. He's intelligent as fuck. Like, you don't want to fucking cross Eric in a negative way. Eric is a really smart dude, and he is very much capable. I think the problem that a lot of people have is they don't want to take gun owners seriously in the first place. And then when you have guys like Eric who are competition level shooters who can truly, gunfight. I mean, truly get in a gunfight. That is a intimidating factor when you know that on your end, you're not able to come close to that fucking capability. And I think that a lot of people are weak in the sense of they can't debate that. Kind of like how, yeah, Eric is really fucking smart when it comes to shooting tactical. But when it comes to gunsmithing, when it comes to weapons R&D, when it comes to development of next generation weapons, I would venture to say that I would probably own that conversation when it comes to Eric and I. But I'm humble enough to respect Eric for the fact that he does know as much as he does. And I think that that is a big component of our industry that is missing. I can respect Eric through and through for what he knows. And if he respects me for what I know, we will have a beautiful conversation and we can accomplish a lot. But it's when everyone wants to play the dick measuring contest that we're essentially going to have the issue.
I lose that contest every time. Speaking of development, so Guardian actually asked if there's anything if there's anything that you have that you could show us, in terms of like milling and stuff like that, and development that you've been working on that you can show us.
Shit, I don't know.
Well, you showed us that the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't make that. So yeah, that's actually a great thing. Let me actually bring that up, because these guys would be awesome for you guys to bring on for the podcast. So I'm building a custom rifle for a customer, and he wanted a Baltimore Ravens handguard. So we had a custom Baltimore Ravens handguard made by Unique ARs over in Idaho, and they custom CNC'd and Cerakoted this entire handguard for him.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Isn't that sick?
Bird City, baby. Bird City.
I kind of want to see what a Seahawks one would look like.
He also said any of your custom builds, do you have anything that you've done custom built that you can show us?
So custom builds. Well, I don't have any like in the shop right now because I just sent them out. So we did what's called a modern musket. So I took an AR-15, right? We did wood furniture and gold accented parts. So it follows the look of a musket. We did a fluted barrel. We're going to have the receiver and all the, main components Cerakoted and battle worn. And then we're going to do gold scope rings with I think we're going to do a hydro dip scope, just because Cerakote on scopes is kind of a no-no in the eyes of the Cerakote world. A lot of guys hate doing scopes in Cerakote because when you heat up the gas inside those scopes to that level, it tends to fuck with them. And then I also did a Memento Mori receiver as well. Built out modern SPR 18-inch barrel with a 223 wild chambering, match grade BCG. It was beautiful. It was absolutely fantastic. We are working on doing some AR-10 receivers right now. Like, this is my personal one that I'll be doing tomorrow. But dude, the finish in here is just glass.
That looks sick.
Yeah.
It's smooth.
I gotta say, going back on what you're saying about when I asked what got you into your love for guns, I respect it a lot. We touched earlier on a lot of people are claiming they're gunsmiths because it's cool. Just like people are doing with mechanics and everything, right? It's cool to mod out your Honda Civic and put 800 wheel horsepower into it and just turn it into a monster. At the end of the day, it's still a Civic, But you seem like you truly have a actual love for it, not just for the cool factor of, oh, it's guns and I'm a badass because I build guns and own guns and shoot guns. You truly have a love deep down for what it is, and I resonate with that a lot because a lot of what you're saying, it's like I was explaining myself on how I got my love for machines and fixing them and repairing them and building them. And so I truly respect, what you're doing in the industry, out of love for, the guns themselves.
Well, and I very much appreciate that, because what a lot of people don't see is the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours that are dedicated to doing this platform. I mean, to do this profession. This is not I went to, school for a weekend and I know how to shoot and I know how to fix everything. No, dude, we are constantly evolving. I mean, for God's sakes, you got to figure shit out on the fly. Okay. Here, let me grab it, because now I'm kind of intrigued, and you guys are going to laugh your asses off when you see this. Hang on. All right. So that buddy I was talking to you guys about a little bit earlier, he calls me. So he's my Cerakote guy, and he's also my precision bolt gun guy. He runs another FFL here in town, and we got linked up. He came by the shop one day, and I was sitting there talking to him. I was, going through his portfolio. He was going through mine. We were kind of shooting the shit in the shop. And I'm like, so can I just be honest with you? And he's like, yeah. I was like, look, I got more than enough work to keep me busy. You're already doing the precision rifle stuff, and you're already doing Cerakote. I have zero desire to spend the $10,000+ on a Cerakote setup. Can I just refer all the business over to you and refer all my precision rifle builds and ammo loadouts and stuff to you, and then you just refer gunsmithing jobs to me? He's like, dude, yeah, absolutely, not a problem. I'm like, great. I was like, don't care. Like, it helps your business, helps my business. We don't have to be enemies. We can be friends. And he's like, dude, yeah, hell yeah. So then he calls me yesterday. He's like, I made a boo-boo. And I'm like, okay, what kind of boo-boo? He's like, a 50 BMG boo-boo? And I'm like, okay, what'd you do? He's like, I got a light strike, and I think the pin broke, or the spring died. Well, for anyone who doesn't know, this is like an 80-pound spring. So taking this thing apart is more like, okay, let's go out to our 4-wheel drive truck and let's pull our coilovers out with our bare fucking hands. I looked at him and I was just like, okay. And he's just like, I'll do your Cerakote for a reduced price. Sorry. And I'm just like, okay. Okay. He's like, can you have it done by Sunday? I ain't God. So, I mean, you guys ever seen that clip on TikTok or whatever, where it's the old guy and he's sitting there and he's like fiddling with something and it like slips and he goes, God damn it, every day, every single day. That is quite literally my job in a nutshell. It is quite literally in a nutshell.
Yeah. Eric also asked, you have to build a one and done rifle. What do you build? Barrel length, optics, etc.
Ooh, like a one rifle to rule them all?
Yep. Your one go. This is, if you were to just build one, what are you doing?
I don't want to be an asshole to Eric, but I need a little bit more context. Are we playing on the game of what is available, like ammo wise in the market today, like plentifulness, or are we just doing a complete hypothetical, any caliber I want?
And I would say any caliber you want.
Any caliber I want.
6.5 Creedmoor.
You shut your mouth. No, honestly,
It's the best round.
Honestly, guys, my favorite round in the whole wide world is the 6.8 SPC. I would build a gas piston 6.8 SPC 12.5 barrel with obviously suppressed PEC 15, light laser combo, LPVO, and honestly, I'd probably run a 1 to 6, 1 to 8 on a 12.5 inch barrel is too much. And I'd do an adjustable stock from B5 Systems. So it's still got the aggressiveness for a combat environment, but if I really need to plant myself and get a good cheek weld into that stock, I would run it that way. And especially when you're running like the LWRC 6.8 mags, I mean, you're still running 30 round mags, but I will hit you with a load of violence that you cannot even fathom. Oh, okay. He says AR-15 5.56. Well, I mean, shit, if we're going there, Eric, here. This is my AR-15 and 5.56. 12.5 gas piston. It's got a titanium firing pin. Obviously 30 round mags. It's got billet construction through and through, Midwest Industries. It's got a match grade ballistic advantage barrel with the SOCOM profile. My Banish 46 on the end of it. I'm saving my pennies because I'm a broke SOB and I keep buying guns when I need to buy accessories. Still trying to get my PEC for it. I run an primary arms 1-6 LPVO with a Radian Raptor charging handle, a B5 system SOP mod stock, and yeah, I mean, it's got an FRT in it, 45-degree flip-up battle sights. This is my go-to gun. I mean, I run the dog shit out of it. And, it's also got a JP Enterprise self-capture buffer unit in it. So, I mean, this thing is just the softest shooting gun you could ever hope for.
Well, since you mentioned the FRT, can you bring up that little model that you showed us earlier?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When we got the super autism.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we'll do the
All right,
and then
so
we'll do the announcement.
This is essentially a model of a version of one of the FRTs that are on the market, and this for the super safety system. This was developed by Hoffman. All right, Rare Breeds claiming that they came up with it. I very much disagree with it. That's my personal opinion. I don't want to get involved in their legal fight. So essentially, you take a mil-spec trigger, you're going to make a modification to the rear of the trigger, standard disconnector, and you got a standard hammer. So where this shines is flush on this side, you got safe, okay, no bang. Flush on the left-hand side is your semi-auto, okay, standard operation. Now, when we put it into the middle selection, all right, or the happy position, so when you pull the trigger, gun goes bang, your BCG is going to come to the rear. It's going to reset the hammer. It's going to trip the lever. And with the BCG coming forward, because it's got, force added upon it by the buffer system and spring system, as the BCG comes forward, the hammer will essentially ride home and it will slam forward and the gun will continue to operate in a cyclic function. The reason why it's not considered full auto, though, is because the trigger is being physically manipulated in a mechanical function that resets it each individual time. It is not being activated by an auto sear, which would essentially keep the trigger down until the individual user was to deliberately remove pressure, which would disengage the auto sear. That is the difference between a full auto and a forced reset trigger design.
All right. So that's cool. That little thing that actually, the model actually helped me realize how it actually works. That was really cool. But so we said we were going to have an announcement today. So this upcoming week, Dakota and the 2A Brotherhood, we're going to do a giveaway of a force reset trigger. You have to live in a state that they are not banned in. So I'm going to make the post on Monday with dropping of the podcast. You'll have to like, share, and comment on both of our pages, and then also go listen to the podcast and like it on Spotify, Apple, whatever you listen to it. It's all going to be on there. And after 8 days, we will give away the FRT.
And the most hateful memes will always get preference.
Yes. Make them
Yes.
funny and hateful. It's always good.
I will give extra brownie points to anyone who makes fuck SDI, memes. 100% fuck SDI.
All right. Don't be a pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
facts.
yeah, but thank you, Dakota, for partnering with us for this giveaway, man. We're really excited, and
Yeah, man.
I'm really looking forward to seeing like more engagement and stuff with the community and everything. So.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if we can do some more of this stuff, like I would love if we could get Eric on, me on, and like a couple other guys, everyone from their own like faction, and make like a board of guys from across the industry. You got a gunsmith, you got a competition shooter. Say we get like a security background, or someone who's in that capacity, someone who's more retail side, and just get different people from throughout the industry and really just make a panel and I guess talk about the industry as a whole. That's really going to be the big thing for me.
Start breaking down that doctrine, man.
Yeah, I mean,
that's where you get into some.
Speaking of the doctrine, I mean, I don't know. Are we rounding out for the night? I mean, is that what we're doing, or?
No, I mean we keep going. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you guys like read in my bio or anything, but I'm the founder of Wright Academy, and I this is kind of like a near and dear to my heart. So I'm gonna try not to get emotional here because, like Josh, and Austin said, since Austin wants to be all cool with a weird name in his little thing. I love what I do. I love working with guns in a level of passion that most will never understand, and it's probably in most aspects unhealthy. So, I founded Wright Academy because I feel like the term gunsmith no longer applies. I think that the term gunsmith has long since passed its expiration date. Because the reality is back when John Moses Browning and Samuel Colt and Henry were around, they had to make those components by hand. Those barrels were made physically, one by one. I mean, they weren't just slap a bunch of bar stock on a machine, press go because you already have the program, and it runs it through. That's just not a thing. We have modern components now. We have modern machining practices. And I'm sorry, if you're just CNCing parts because you're a parts guy, someone created the code for you, and all your job is to come into work, press go, take it in and out of the machine, and you call yourself a gunsmith, you're not a gunsmith.
Shots fired.
You're a machinist. Now, if I was going to be honest here, so because I got to be really careful about how I say this so Discovery Channel doesn't sue the shit out of me. So I believe that to be a weapons specialist, or God forbid you use the term expert, in today's world, it takes a lot more of a person to know the totality of the weapons industry and design and materials, tactics, training methods, so on and so forth. So I believe this is to be called the field of weaponology. Okay, but I can't really call it that because Discovery Channel back in like 2016 or 2017, I think, they had a show called Weaponology. They owned the trademark on weaponology. So I can't really use it in that context. So I trademarked the term weaponologist. So instead of a gunsmith, you would be called a weaponologist. A weaponologist is someone who studies the history and science of weapons technology from across all aspects of history, including current. They are to know gunsmithing practices. They are to know training methods. They are to be the foremost authority in the world of weapons technology. Now, this can be applied to firearms, right, like I'm doing now, but this can also be applied to edged weapons, medieval weapons, blunt weapons, kinetic weapons, energy weapons, all the different factions of weapons industry, bioweapons, chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, all the different realms of weapons technology. And I believe a weaponologist is the next evolution to firearms education for the entire industry as we know it today. And my program seeks to take people much like Eric and use what he is preaching. Obviously, Eric is accomplished. I mean, for God's sakes, if you listen to this awesome dude talking about his background with guns, he's not an idiot. He is very much respected in his circles. And I would venture to say that if you put him in outside circles, he would be still respected on the merits of what he's done thus far. And Eric is one of those guys that he can walk the walk and he can talk the talk. But I will say 100% that Eric is humble enough to admit when he doesn't know something. Now, it may be rare, but he will admit it. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for people like that. But we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest as an industry, and we have to be honest as gun owners. There is something inherently broken with the way that we teach firearms and we teach anything regarding guns. And society has a preconceived notion of who and what we are all about. When in reality, to do what I do, you need to have more knowledge than most people will ever have in a single occupation. I work with chemicals, I work with machining, engineering, I work with chemistry, biology, different levels of mathematics, science. I deal with aerospace. We deal with tolerances. I mean, for the love of God, I mean, the chalkboard is endless. I mean, and then that's not to include all the different equipment I need to know. Welding machines, CNC machines, freaking 3D printers. And that technology is always changing. Did you guys know that I can literally 3D print a handguard that is nearly as hard as aluminum on a 3D printer?
Oh, using polymer?
No, it's carbon fiber with reinforced alloys.
Okay.
It requires a very hot end, to be used on the 3D printer, but it is as hard once it's annealed. It's as hard as aluminum. You can machine it.
Is this one of those technologies you were talking about?
What do you
What's
think
that?
about? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
He was asking if this was one of the technologies you were talking about.
Yeah. Guys, this is the level of technology that we have at our disposal now. Dude, if John Moses Browning knew this technology existed, he'd be rolling in his grave at the revolutionary technology that we could be making. And there are guys in these back world, networks in like Reddit forums and Telegram and all that stuff where we are literally designing parts and then we'll make it. Yeah, it works. Hey, that's cool. Turn around, they'll sell it to the major manufacturers. And they will sit on it. They will sit on it forever until, like I said, till their average cash cow guns are no longer viable in the market, and then they'll start coming out with the new shit.
Well, I look at it as obviously, with electricians, with mechanics, with a bunch of different trades, you have like a mechanic, right? And then you have a master mechanic. You have an electrician, a journeyman electrician, and you have a master electrician, right? Like
Yeah.
you said, the term gunsmith has kind of become like watered down to
Yes.
where, again, anyone I could take apart my Glock. I can call myself a gunsmith,
Yes.
not technically, but that's what people are doing, nowadays. I think there should be an actual regulated term. Well, not regulated. I don't like to say the word regulated, but a term to where you actually, because a master mechanic, you have to have multiple certifications.
Yep.
You have to have a certain amount of experience. Dimitri could back me up with a master electrician.
Yep.
You have to have the same, multiple certifications, experience, take tests to reach that title. And you should have the same with a gunsmith, to where being able to call yourself a master gunsmith and being able to go into these aspects of actually writing doctorates and writing out how things should be done should be a thing, and it will help. I feel it would help the industry tremendously in its expansion. Just being able to have that title of, oh, do I want to take my gun to, this gunsmith that just started up, or do I want to go to a master gunsmith that has been doing this for years and knows everything? And there might be times where you do want to just go to the guy that just started up, but then if it's something intricate to where you really need the experience, you know who you can go to. And they're not going to bullshit you. They have a love for it, and they have spent years dedicating their time to obtaining knowledge that most people don't have.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
So I did see an advertisement on Instagram. Apparently there is a school that has started up to become a gunsmith. I'm not sure how credible it is. If I see it again, I'll send it to you, Dakota.
Is it the Sonoran Desert Institute? Because I saw that.
Fuck them.
I've been seeing a lot of ads for the Sonoran Desert Institute.
A lot of people say fuck them.
Like, dude, I got their textbooks. I could pull those out right now and show you guys the bullshit that they're pushing. Like, it is such bullshit. It's like, I would equate that their bullshit is even lower than the NRA, and the NRA is full of shit.
Yeah, Guardian just asked if there's any. I just saw they just asked if there's any industry offering anything like that in terms of school. There,
Yeah.
Like we are just talking about, there is, Sonoran Desert Institute, and there are a couple, but I feel like what Dakota's been saying is they're not really going into what really should be going into in terms of certifications and the level of what needs to be put out. It seems like a lot of what Dakota's been saying is stuff that he's actually in his own time taken to go and find out and learn through trial and error on his own volition. I don't believe, and Dakota, you can probably correct me, there's no school that's really going deep into detail in terms of what needs to be done. I mean, I went to trade school for underwater welding. I did underwater welding for a few years, and, the schooling for that was somewhat intricate, and I feel like there's no match for, what they're doing in gunsmithing. And
So-
I'm referencing that because that's my only form of education outside of high school.
So, and that's kind of the key point that I want to really hit on here. There are 3 online options, okay, for gunsmith training that are virtual, okay, or what's called distance learning capable. Okay. Now, the 3 top contenders right now is Sonoran Desert Institute, Modern Gunsmithing School, otherwise known as MGS, okay? And then there's AGI, American Gunsmithing Institute. So with SDI, you have 2 options. You can take their gunsmith certificate program, okay, which is just a certificate, or you can take their associate's degree their associate's degree program. Now, I'm going to just be fucking honest on this shit, because fuck SDI, okay? All the classes that you take in your associate's degree are exactly the same classes as you will take for the gunsmith certification. When you graduate with your associate's degree, you get an associate's degree in firearms technology, no certificate in gunsmithing. You would have to take all those courses again to get that certificate with your degree. Okay, that degree is about $27,000.
Jeez.
Okay, I used my GI Bill to go through that school. It was a load of horse shit. I have a whole video up on my Rumble. It's over an hour long where I completely butcher SDI. I go into every detail. I even wrote a 30-plus page report on my findings of the school from start to finish. And I solely intend to get my school off the ground, to shut that school down. And I hope to God I see the president and every one of the lead faculty over at SDI go to fucking prison for what they are doing, because they are defrauding people, and it is bullshit, and it pisses me off. Now, MGS, the director of MGS, his name is Zeke Stout. He is an amazing dude. Dude, this guy is the most humble man you could ever meet, but I'm going to just say it for what it is. The dude literally looks like Jesus. I'm not even kidding. You can look him up. He looks like Jesus. We call him Gun Jesus at events. And the dude he's enormous. I stand at 6'2". Zeke makes me feel small. The dude's huge. He's like 6'5", 6'6". He's huge.
Is it this guy? I literally Googled Gun Jesus.
Look, so Google Zeke Stout. It's like ZEKE and then ST.
Real quick while he's pulling that up. For me, like I said, I have a background in welding. I have a background in mechanics, a lot of different things. And I know Dimitri has a background in electrical. To become a journeyman electrician, to become a welder, you have to go through an apprenticeship program where you're working under someone.
Yeah.
And you have to, for welding, you have to weld a certain amount. You have to do certain things to get your title in the oil field, right?
Yeah.
You work under someone as a welder helper, essentially an apprentice. And I don't see that a lot with gunsmithing. You might have someone that takes someone under their wing, but it's not a traditional apprenticeship.
Correct.
It's not a traditional, term of you're doing this to earn a title.
Yeah. And so
that's another way to bypass school. So if you don't want to go to school for welding or mechanics, you could go in an apprenticeship and then learn it that way.
Yeah. And so here's why that is. Okay. So with the third school being American Gunsmithing Institute, okay, that's like $17,500. Okay. So those are the 3 distance learning schools. Now there's 2 top-tier gunsmithing colleges that are trade schools, okay? And so this is the crazy part about the gun industry. The first one is the Colorado School of Trades, okay? They're over near Loveland, Colorado, okay? The other one is the Pennsylvania Gunsmithing School. Now, the Pennsylvania school is the sister school of the Colorado School of Trades. They teach virtually the exact same things, and they have the same instructors. The instructors from the Colorado School of Trades literally went over to the Pennsylvania Gunsmithing School and started it up. So, but here's the craziest part. The first things that you're learning are safety and this is a screwdriver. This is a square. This is a tape measure. And it's 2 years of just basic shit. Basic shit. Now, granted, all you're learning is specialized knowledge on gun platforms. So I'm not going to say it's irrelevant, and here's why. They literally have headhunters for some of the top companies in the world when it regards to guns, who literally call the Colorado School of Trades and look for students who are graduating, and they will literally pull those students as soon as they graduate, move them across the country, and they'll come work for them. Such as the guys over at Nighthawk Custom. All those guys, virtually most of them, I would say, honestly, came from the Colorado School of Trades. But they don't just come from the Colorado School of Trades, get hired on, and boom, you're doing it. No. You do specialized training. Typically, they fly a dude out from, I want to say he's out in Nebraska. He charges like $5,000 a week to teach you how to master smith a 1911. $5,000 a week, and he takes like 7 students at a time. The dude's making a killing, but he is a master of the 1911. But what happens if we ask that same guy to go work on an M1 Grand? What happens if we ask that guy to go work on an M134 minigun? Is he going to know anything about what he's supposed to do? Hard to say. So when we look at the term gunsmith and the legal requirements to go do gunsmith work, right? Let's look at the reality. Okay, well, there is no formal licensing that is required for you to call yourself a gunsmith. Gunsmithing, in the eyes of the law, is if you are repairing, modifying, or swapping parts, you are conducting gunsmithing services. If you are conducting such business, you must possess an 07 FFL, which is $150 every 3 years. It's basic shit. It's a background check. It's fingerprints. You pay your dues. They send an IOI, which is an ATF agent, to your place or to your business or whatever. They do a quick walkthrough. Hey, do you understand the books? Do you understand the general idea of the laws? Okay, you're good. When in reality, the ATF agents don't know a fucking thing about the laws. They hardly ever know anything about current court cases that quite literally or deliberately, making a mass effect on our industry, such as my old IOI. She no longer is with the ATF, and she was a total sweetheart. She didn't know a fucking thing about the Bruin decision. She didn't know a damn thing. She's like, we're not taught any of that. And I'm like, you're the ATF. You guys are supposed to be like the most knowledgeable people in the entire government when it comes to weapons knowledge. What's your excuse? I made a phone call about suppressor components and which components fall under the NFA and which ones don't. Oh, just refer to the final rule. I have read the final rule, jackass. I'm asking you for clarification because it's unclear on what I'm trying to do. Well, what are you trying to do? Well, I'm trying to do this. I don't know. You have to call, ATF legal about that. I call, weeks go by. I call, weeks go by. I call, I send emails, weeks go by. Then finally, a friend of mine who's a lawyer for the Second Amendment community, he's like, they're never going to fucking call you because they're waiting for you to do it so they can fuck you up. And then you're going to have to prove your innocence in front of a court. And they do it all the time to people. All the time. They wait for people to fuck up because they're tired of waiting and they want to produce their business. And so what I have the biggest issue is it's just like you said, Austin. Why in the fuck is it that to be an electrician, it's 5 years of being a journeyman before you can become what's it called?
A master electrician?
Before you're a master electrician. And it's like, 3 or 4 years to be an apprentice before you can even be a journeyman?
Yep.
So, okay, you guys just work with electricity. Okay? Why is it that the guys that are doing wiring of houses have to have higher education requirements than the guy that literally makes something that could blow your fucking hands off and blow your head off?
Yeah.
And people who are like, oh, you're being dramatic. Really? Oh. Well, when was the last time you watched someone put a 300 blackout in a .223 barrel? Then tell me that they're okay. Tell me.
Let's look it up.
Like, dude, it is bad. The amount of people who are just completely belligerent to the safety aspect that is necessary for this occupation. I'm surprised OSHA doesn't have a special division specifically for the firearms industry.
Yeah, man. No, I definitely think that there needs to be more. And I hate to use the term regulated because I don't like using the term regulation. But just to kind of, I don't really have a better word, but regulate the term
oversight.
gunsmithing. Yeah.
There needs to be industry level oversight. And that's what I've been preaching for years. Fuck the ATF. Those stupid fucks couldn't, fucking gunsmith or do their shit out of a wet paper bag. Fuck them.
But not by, like, oversight and regulation, not by the ATF, but in the community.
Yes.
Because the ATF is run by a bunch of people that hate guns.
Well, and it's not even just the people who hate guns. It's a bunch of fucking bureaucrats who don't know anything about guns, and they're trying to regulate technology that they don't know shit about.
Yeah. And don't think that we should even have them. So
right.
I think that there should be some type of oversight within the community, and we need to. I get it. Being a gunsmith is cool. But again, just because you can tear down your Glock or you can build an AR with parts that you bought from the store or online does not make you a gunsmith.
Correct.
We started this podcast off tonight talking about CNC machines and milling, and I've done tiny bit of machine work. I've worked with machinists before, and the amount of stuff you have to know, the measurements to get things within such tight specs is ridiculous. It is absolutely incredible. The amount of knowledge you have to be able to run one of those machines and get something within such tight of a spec. And you need to have some type of oversight in that. And you're not just going to get that knowledge by just going out and saying you're a gunsmith, buying a CNC machine, and get some buddies and try and fail, because that's when dangerous shit happens. You really need to understand what you're working with. You really need to understand how you're handling situations, and you can't just go around calling yourself a title. I cannot go and walk around and say I'm a lawyer or I'm a doctor because I've read a law textbook or a medical textbook. Why are we allowing this to happen in the world today? I can't go and claim things that I'm not, and 100 different aspects. I can't go around and walk around and say I'm a police officer because I watched an episode of Cops.
I mean,
like
it's pretty fair to say that you probably have more knowledge than a law enforcement officer if you've watched Cops all the seasons, How to Catch a Predator. I mean, you're pretty much on par with federal law enforcement at that point.
But I still can't legally call myself a police officer. I get in a lot of trouble for that. And again, and going back on what I was saying, I had a reputable place tell me that to have an SBR, it had to be over 26.5 inches in Maryland. And this is an actual place that does, actual work. And I'm not trashing on this place at all. Okay. The people that work there were absolutely amazing. I love them. They're great. But the knowledge is the thing that gets me.
Well, so when I Googled that, Austin, it did say that in Maryland, SBR had to be at least 29 inches.
Where's that at? I want to see that.
Here, I'll Google it again. What the?
Yeah, because federally an SBR is under 26 inches. So if you're right, then I apologize to this place because I haven't been able to find anything.
All right, let's see. So it
Owners
says
must comply with federal law, including obtaining a tax stamp, and SBRs must meet a minimum overall length of 29 inches, according to Sir Goodwill.
yeah. So the first thing it says the Maryland here. Let me share my screen so
So
everybody
why
can
is there
see
a
this.
3-inch difference from the federal law to the state law?
I don't know.
This
Maryland is
is
communist.
See, short barrel SBRs are legal in Maryland. Maryland registered with the ATF, but they are regularly similar to handguns. You need to carry, blah, blah, blah. Can't be a copycat weapon. They must have a total length of 29 plus inches, and only one may be purchased every 30 days unless you are a design collector. Here, it says right here, the length overall has to be 29 inches. Now, I don't know if that includes the suppressor.
but it needs to cite the law.
Let's click here. Let's go to the Maryland. There we go.
Because when I told them I wanted an 8-inch, I wanted to put an 8-inch, because they asked me the barrel length that I wanted to do, and I said 8 inches, and they said you'll get arrested.
So this is to wear and carry and transport. This is copycat.
Guardian, I have considered moving. I hope to move soon.
Hey, come up 30 minutes, man. Come hang out with me.
You were still showing the Google page, not the page with the laws.
Oh shit. So I thought you guys seen it. So
When was that dated? Very top of the document.
2014.
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah. But so this is to like wear and carry, transfer, blah blah blah, approval of sale, manufacture, handgun, blah blah blah. Yeah, so a short barrel rifle or short barrel shotgun that meet the definition of a copycat weapon set forth, blah blah blah. For example, a semi-automatic center fire rifle that has an overall length less than 29 inches. Or
So they're essentially saying that anything less than 29 inches is considered
An
a
SB.
short barrel rifle.
Yep.
So what you can do is you can call the Attorney General's office, and you can ask the Attorney General's office to point you in the direction of where you can find the specific law on short-barreled weapons in the state of Maryland. And from what I'm pulling up here,
Can you share your screen, Dakota?
I have no idea how to do that. How the
So
hell?
if you look at the bottom, you'll see like a rectangle with a arrow pointing up.
Ah, okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
Screen. Right here. Sure. All right. So if we look at Maryland State Police Licensing Division Advisory, LDSFRS 14-002, revised May 2nd, 2014. This is the same document that you just pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maryland law, criminal law article CR 4-21F defines short-barreled rifle as a rifle that has this, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this right here. We're going to copy text, go up here, and then Maryland. Okay, we're gonna, you always cite from the state website. Do not go through law firms, do not go through anyone else. That will not save you. Okay? All right, antique firearm. Convicted of a disqualifying crime, crime of violence. See, and there's a whole list of them. Dealer's license, designated law enforcement agency, disqualifying crime. Firearm means a weapon that expels is designated to expel or may readily be converted to expel a projectile by an action of an explosive. the frame or receiver of such weapon, an unfinished frame or receiver as defined by subsection 5-701 of this title. Okay, so we're going to go down and we're going to see... Yep, see, they have all their rifles right here. So, let's see. Regulated firearm means a handgun or a firearm that is any of the following specific assault weapons or their copies, regardless of which company produced and manufactured that assault weapon. An American American Arms Spectre DC or D semi-automatic carbine, AK-47 in all forms, AGM, AR-100, AR-180, Argentine LSR, Australian automatic arms, auto ordnance, Thompson M1, Barrett Light 50 cal, Beretta AR-7, and just it goes on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then going to next, transfer, law enforcement. Subtitle does not affect sale transfer. Okay, so we're just gonna keep going. So you can go up here and do SBR. Let's see, let's go all the way back 2014, 2015, and just click all these. You want to see if anything's changed over the past several years. Sometimes it'll change every year in some states with the change of how things work. SBR firearm. Oop. Nothing. So my guess is they follow federal law on the, regulation of it. So what I would do is I would call... Oh, here we go. Okay. Firearm. Yep, see, nothing in there. Nothing there. So, yeah, the best thing you can do in these situations, guys, is just contact your local, what's it called? Your local attorney general's office. It's their job to literally tell you where in the law to look. They cannot give you legal advice, but they can direct you towards the specific statutes in the law that state that. You can also call your local ATF field office. It is also their job to notify you of where those laws are. And on the most extreme, you can actually contact a local attorney that specializes in Second Amendment foundations and laws within your state. But typically they won't answer your questions unless you pay a retainer. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth.
I got you.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least we learned something on how to do our own research.
Yeah, and see, like that's the other side is, being a weaponologist, you have to understand where to source for laws, who to contact, who to talk to, and there's so many different factions of learning how to do this. And Austin made a really good point earlier. So Austin, working around all the heavy equipment that you have, okay, doing electrician work, doing machining work, mechanic work, have you ever once been mandated to take a in-depth trauma class for serious injuries?
No.
Why?
I have as an electrician.
But what was to the extent that the class went?
If under like arc flash, depending on like if you work with high voltage, they have like different trainings, because the higher the voltage, the bigger the bang, basically. And that's when people could get, like, incinerated
Fried.
and shit.
Yeah. I mean, but the reality is when you work around heavy equipment, typically it's just a check in the box. Oh, yep, Billy Bob, went ahead and took his annual CPR class. He's good. Okay. So what happens when a heavy load drops on Mofo's leg and he's bleeding out because his femoral artery was just severed and his leg is officially crushed underneath a heavy load and you can't get it off? What do you do?
I actually brought this up to my company. We get first aid kits in all of our company vehicles that we have, right? And they do inspections of our first aid kits. If you open up the first aid kit, though, you get Band-Aids.
Yeah.
And you get wet wipes. And
burn cream.
We don't even get burn cream. You get one of those aluminum foil blankets.
Yeah. The safety blankets.
Yeah.
Thermal blanket.
I told them because I've known people that have actually gotten seriously hurt, crushed their finger, gotten really bad injuries, right? And I told them we need to have tourniquet training. We need to know how to, apply a tourniquet, how to use a tourniquet. They need to be in our bags, how to do seals, how to do all that stuff in the event of anything happening, and because kind of similar, an engine is basically run off of mini explosions.
Yes.
Yep.
That's what's happening in your engine
Combustion.
every time. Yep, combustion. Diesels run off of very high compression. Gas is very combustible, and in your engine, you are dealing with basically tiny explosions, and that's what pushes your pistons down. And one goes down, another goes up. And I've seen rods get thrown, and I've seen stuff blow, and it's very traumatic. And I've actually brought this up to my company that we need to have more advanced first aid kits and training on how to use these first aid kits.
Yeah. And a lot of them are probably not going to even bother to have that conversation because it's money.
Yep.
But you see, people are like, oh, and this is, again, I bitch about this too much, but the reality is people look at guys like me. I got tattoos all over my arms. I'm 6'2" and I'm an asshole. But when they see me out teaching a class, they're just like, oh, that's just another dumb guy, teaching people how to shoot targets. It's like, well, you also haven't seen that I have 2 degrees, one in firearms technology. Granted, the school is shit, but I also have a degree in precision machining. I have multiple national certifications with NIMS, which is the National Institute of Metalworking Skills. I also hold a prestigious title of being an international certified firearms specialist, and I'm a multi-credentialed firearms instructor. I've gone through advanced medical training to such a degree where I've actually been on the news, in different parts of the country, and I've kept people alive after massive car pileups. I've had people get hurt on the range. I've had people suffer heart attacks on the range, and I've been able to keep them alive. There was a one distinctive moment that I will never forget. It was back when I was in Florida. We had just finished up a range day. I was on my way home. I literally just stopped at Taco Bell, and I was pulling out of the parking lot to the intersection, and this little old lady in like this little 4-door sedan got just freaking plowed into. And she must have been late 80s, early 90s. Well, everyone around was just sitting there talking to her through the phone, and, holding their phone out, and there's, are you okay? Wow, that looked like it hurt. And I'm sitting here like, what the hell are you people doing? So I parked my truck in the middle of the road, stopping traffic, and they're on my four ways. They were like, oh, we called 911. I'm like, okay, you give me your hoodie. You make sure, that, the car's not moving in any way. I want you to grab the blocks out of the back of my truck and I want you to put them underneath her tires. And, they blocked it up. I was like, you start directing traffic, rerouting. And I went to my truck, pulled out my full EMT kit, pulled out a neck brace, fitted the neck brace around this woman's neck, held her head in place, and walked her through how to calm down because she was starting to hyperventilate. By the time EMS showed up, I had already secured the scene. I had already got traffic rolling. There was, obviously still an accident on scene, but she was stable. Gave her, I gave them oxygen status, her BP, gave her, pulse rate, everything. And the EMT was like, who the hell are you? I was like, I'm just Good Samaritan. He's like, where'd you learn how to do this? I was like, years of practice. And so what ended up happening was this dude walks back to his, truck and hands me a neck collar, and he's like, thanks, appreciate it. And I'm like, well, this is fucked up. Yours is shittier than mine. And, he laughed and he was like, sorry, government budget cuts. I'm like, you fucking dick. And I, tossed my stuff back in the truck and I went home and ate my cold Taco Bell. But,
the saying, fight, flight, or freeze?
Yes.
So I've seen a lot of situations working in the offshore oil field, my time as an underwater welder. I say underwater welder, it's a commercial diver, but everyone knows it as underwater welder.
Right.
Okay. I actually hate the term underwater welder because that is the least part of the job, but everyone knows it as that term. But it's a very intense, industry, very dangerous. Anything oil field, very dangerous. Just like working on heavy equipment, it's very dangerous, right? And I've seen a lot of instances where I don't trust many people because I've seen too many freezes.
Yes.
Freezes and flights. I don't see many fights, and but I've also seen a new term come about. So I don't say fight, flight, or freeze anymore. I say fight, flight, freeze, record.
Yeah, facts, bro. Facts.
Because nowadays all you see is either people actually jump into action to help out a situation. They either flee, they freeze, or they break out their phone and start recording it and posting it to social media.
Yep.
And it's terrible that we've come into a new category, Yeah.
I think that it really comes down to we need to expect more out of the educators of individual industries. You're never going to learn if you're not taught.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes shit just isn't in a manual. And the reality is all these corporate douchebags who keep rolling out these ideologies of like, oh, we need to be calm in this situation. We don't want to cause more traumatic, environment. It's like, fuck you, Becky. Motherfucker, move. And people need to harden the fuck up. But there's a time and a place. There's a couple of instructors that I've seen online where they are very aggressive with their students. Now, that's not to say they're bad instructors, but it's their method of teaching has a specific purpose. I don't always agree with that because I'm the kind of mentality where I'll work with anybody. I'm a super nice guy as much as I say I'm an asshole. I'm actually a super nice guy. I'll work with pretty much anybody. But if my only interaction with you is you just being a dick, it just makes me want to fucking throw you to the ground and just kick the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge people's mentalities like that because it's not popular in today's, society. But I've had so many new people come in, and I would love if Eric was still on here, man, because I would love to get his input on this. But I've had several people come in and they were like, oh, I'm really getting curious about competition shooting. I'm like, okay, that's great. That's awesome. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know any of the equipment. I don't know any of the guns. I'm like, simple thing. I was like, you want to know the nicest fucking people in the whole wide world? Go to a match. Just go to a match and spectate and just be like, hey, I'm considering this. Is there a way I could drop you $5 to, throw a couple rounds downrange with your piece, if that's okay with you? And 10 times out of 10, you're always going to get the guys like, dude, fuck yeah, man. Try it out. Here, try these hand loads. Oh, no, try this magazine. Now, fuck Jim. Jim and his fucking CZ, 75, fuck him. You got so many cool people at these environments. And I think that if people saw how awesome that we can be as a community in that faction, we could really start changing the perspective that people have of the gun industry. One of the questions I have for all of you guys is, in the context of concealed carry, okay? You guys all conceal carry, right?
I think guns are dangerous. I don't want them anywhere near me.
Austin, I'm not even surprised for you to say that, man.
I would never, ever put a gun on my body. I'm too scared.
It's not just a gun that's, excited.
Absolutely ridiculous. No, yes, we all do. What's up?
So let me ask you this. What's your life worth to you?
My life, not much. My kids' life, everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So if someone tried to hurt your kids, your wives, Austin's situation, his boyfriend, he's got a mistress.
Wait, did you beat him? Did he come home while I was out of the room?
I only go by daddy.
Boy.
So
I told him to stay quiet.
Yeah, right. So my mentality is pretty simple, and I teach this during my concealed carry classes. When you are carrying a gun, what is your life? What are the lives around you worth? Okay?
I will torch the world for my family.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now there are consequences to having that mentality.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
There are consequences to our actions, no matter how justified we may feel.
Yep.
So let me give you all a basic scenario. Okay? You're walking around Walmart, grabbing your fucking, Little Debbie's and fucking Sunny D's. Okay?
Okay, why
Did you read my shopping list?
What?
Did you read my shopping list?
Abso-fucking-lutely, baby. Now, while you're walking around, you hear people start screaming and you hear a couple of gunshots. What's your immediate reaction?
Make sure my family is safe, find an exit for them, and protect them at all costs. And if I see the attacker or shooter, and I see people's lives are being taken, I will take action.
Right. That's most people's mentality, right? Mm-hmm. If I see you shooting up a group of people, oh, motherfucker, it's on. Mm-hmm. Like, it is fucking on. Now, a lot of people don't train for those kinds of environments because the certainty of the reality is you don't know who you're going up against. You don't know what they have. You can assume, but you don't know. You are going completely blind into an armed conflict, and you most certainly can die. Okay? But there is a consequence if you kill that other person.
Yep.
And then, God forbid, you don't kill them, you just maim them, and they're still alive to tell the tale. Okay? The reality is, when you're on the stand and you're wearing a suit, okay, and you're having to literally fight for your life against people who would demonize you and rather see you go burn in hell, even though your full intention was to protect not only your family, but to lay your life on the line for everybody else in that store who may not believe in guns, but you are willing to lay your life on the line and lay on top of someone else to protect them just to make sure that you were doing what you were supposed to do. Okay?
So someone explained to me a situation, right? And and I've always kind of looked at it like this, and I'll tell you what they said, and I'll tell you kind of my response to it, right? When you're in a situation like you just explained, right? Walmart, okay, you have to look at it like you're like, take my daughter for instance, right? If my daughter was in trouble, would I jump in shark infested waters for her, right? Yes. If someone stole my truck, would I jump in shark infested waters for that truck? No.
Nope.
Right? If I see some innocent person across the street in trouble, would I jump in shark infested waters for them? Most likely, yes. You know,
Maybe.
my family comes first.
Yeah.
But, you know, my family will always come first. Or people I love, family will always come first, you know.
Yep.
But depending on the situation, yes, I'll say, you know. My response to that was, I used to do that shit for fun. I used to wrestle sharks for fun. Okay, don't tempt me with a good fucking time. All right. There is a line in the sand that I have. There is a line in the sand that I have. Okay.
We all have that line in the sand, but the reality is in the moment when the adrenaline's pumping, we can all sit there and say, hell yes, I'll jump in shark-infested waters. Because in that moment, it takes 3 muscles to make a perfect trigger pull.
Yeah.
Okay? So then we have to talk about what happens after. So when you're on the stand, okay, and Rob, I'm going to throw this one at you, brother. When you're on the stand and they're walking you literally detail by detail in a fraction of a second that you had to make a decision, they're going to make it turn into days worth of ripping you apart. They're going to demonize you in every capable way. Are you going to trust the guy who is an NRA instructor who just teaches the local fucking dipshits, you know, and the local AO fucking how to conceal carry and shoot a paper target at 5 yards? Or are you going to trust the guy that works behind the gun counter and, you know, sells guns at your local Cabela's and probably doesn't know dick about guns? Or are you going to trust the guy that went to school for years and years and years, went to private training, does this shit for a living, and specializes in nearly every single area of the industry? What are you going to pick?
Probably the last one.
The specialist, right? Because when your life is on the line, you want the dude that comes in swinging the biggest stick. You want that dude that's going to stand up in front of a prosecutor and be like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. He was using a 147 grain in a 9mm. That round has this much drop. It has this much expansion at that range. It wasn't inhumane. It did exactly as it's defined to do at this particular, XYZ. You want a guy that's going to have the facts to back you up to cover your ass.
Exactly.
And you want that guy to have the same veracity that you had in that very moment. Right?
Yeah.
Why is it that we have allowed our industry to make so many excuses as to why that cannot be a reality?
Thank you for watching the 2A Brotherhood podcast. Please like, share, and consider leaving a comment.